Welcome to week 20 or so. Missed last week, sorry about that. I'm really just having trouble with this microphone. Surprised this one's getting out. But yeah, 5 trades I want to go over. ZN's the first one here. And I was trading this last week on the 20th, if we can find that here. Yeah, on this day here. So if we look on the multi-day chart, we can check that out. The 20th is this green day, and as you can see, the lows here have gotten higher and higher, and there's been this resistance around 445. If we look on the daily chart, about 440, 445, around that area. So then intraday, what I'm seeing here is again higher lows. So when it breaks this support, I'm interested. It breaks it at roughly 2:45, but I minimize my risk by buying the confirmed breakout right here when it starts to bounce up. And by buying there, my risk is not the breakout level, it's actually beneath it. So I was risking this 435, okay? And my thesis was that it would at least retest this high or try to get up there at 485. By holding overnight, I should add that too. And what happened, which was kind of unfortunate, but stopped me out right here. It cracked 435 for a couple seconds, and I got out right at 435, 434 maybe. And it was the worst point to sell it, because even though it failed the next morning, it got up to the 60s. Nothing major, but I could have made 20 cents or so. And that's a trend that I've been struggling with here, is my risk is set, and it's a good risk, but it's on the brink of my risk for myself in terms of dollars. So like, I normally risk $50, but when I was getting that close, I'm like, $50 is a lot of money. So that's why I cut it so fast when it does break it, because I think that it can just crack down, even though it probably won't. But I need to take less size so that I'm still comfortable if it just cracks it by 1 cent. And that's what happened here, and it stopped me out. So it's kind of a trend. Hopefully we can pick up on it later on. NXTT is the next one. I was trading it on this volatility day. It had some news pre-market. I want to say it was drug related, but it was holding this support here in roughly the 3s, 290s. I think that was, yeah, that's this day right here, and you can see that was what support was back in early February, and sure, it's like it's cracked it, but it's holding it when it's up from the low 2s. So that's impressive for me here. And I bought the breakout over these bounces. So you can see this little blip here. Brought the breakout of that. I think I was risking these lows of 280, or maybe it could have been, yeah, maybe closer to 290. But I brought this breakout, and we got this push up a little bit, but it couldn't break out here. I was really going for that bigger move, at least till 330s. I want it. Sell half, then hopefully it can squeeze up. But didn't get it, and actually got stopped out here. Not a bad trade. Again, a low float. Thought I could run. Still morning, so my time limit was still fine on this trade, which cycles us back to AKER. Let's see. I was trading this on the 27th here. Yeah. So let me look on the multi-day for you. 27th looks to be this big green day. So it broke out of this the previous week high of 64 cents. I guess that's what this level was supposed to be up here at 64. So it broke the pre-market, it's holding around it, then actually broke it in a big way. The market opened, confirmed it, and these higher lows got me interested to buy on this breakout over the morning high. And again, I bought due to its confirmation here. You can see this red candle. I bought on the following green handle because, again, I thought this thing could just run. It's confirmed the morning high. the initial spike, and I thought it could go. Break it over the bounces and break it over the highs, and again, no dice, so I got stopped out. Ended up going higher, but again, that wasn't in my parameters. My parameters was a quick spike. So no worries there, but it did get some more volatility. And what was I looking at this? I was looking at, yeah, so this day actually was when the markets tanked completely, and a lot of these actually bounced off support. So this one didn't bounce off the former high, but I mean, I think two or three of these stocks this day had its big multi-day run-up, and then this day cracked and actually bounced off support. I think I was looking at BLDP or something that did this exact thing off support. This wasn't too exact for me, so I didn't get in. But NVCN was later in the week. Okay, so this stock is interesting, and I want to talk about it here in a little bit more detail with some support lines, because this has been in a pretty nasty fall from 176. More immediately, it's been in a fall from roughly 75 cents. And I was watching it in here, just waiting for the first green day. And we got it this day right here, the 28th. And unfortunately, I was watching other stocks in the morning, because I would have liked to buy this over a multi-day breakout over consolidation, and I wouldn't have been buying in this choppy action here, but I would have liked to get in somewhere up in here in the low 20s, and hopefully ride it up to 25, maybe 26. I definitely wouldn't have lasted to the 30s, but when you get such a big move like this, I think, start it from roughly 20 to 30. It's a over 50% move. And even though this is the first green day, you gotta have some pullback. It can't be all strength. So I really like this pullback, and I wanted to go lower. If I can put up these lines now, let me look. I guess I'm just gonna add some horizontal lines for where I was looking at support. So here we got one. I think I was looking actually closer up. Yeah, this support. So this was the last 2 days. You can see a high basing and a low. So that's a little support I was watching. This next high up here. A little farther back, we can see a low, and a low for that, for all those bottomings. So I mean, it's got some significance, is what I'm trying to say here. So for this day, seeing that, I was watching this drop, because I do think that after a big spike like this in a drop, you can bounce off support and then bounce into the close, and ideally bounce the next morning. So that was my mindset. And I mean, in hindsight, it's easy, but I was a little early here. An early drop at 2 o'clock. So yeah, as you can see, this bounce off this first support that I was looking at. I didn't even see this, but I mean, I could have bought. I might have bought in, but I was buying. Something about me is I'm scared to get in on the first dip. So ideally, I would have gotten in here because it's bouncing, or I would have gotten in here. But I actually ended up getting in on here in this area because it bounced off one low, then it was holding the next low. And I thought I could grind up into the close, then ideally have the next morning spike. But it got stuffed here. It was constant sellers. And this 23 level has been pretty significant. And you can see that's where it's based or bottomed or held this whole time. Just massive sellers at 23, which is strange, but so buying here, I got stopped out again at the worst time down here. This was my risk around 22. I mean, it held to a certain degree, but again, I was stopped out because I was using full size, and that's something I got to work with. But sure enough, even though getting out of the worst point, my thesis was somewhat correct in the form of it got 27 or 29, I should say, pre-market. I would have been selling the 27s right here. That's pretty much, I was in at the 23s. I mean, that's a solid 20% roughly. and it would have been out, and that's what I was going for. And in looking at these entries, I shouldn't have bought here, even though I missed it, but if I had been here, we got a good volume here. So, I mean, if I want to buy that, maybe just buy a small position, but the rest of this is low volume and it's not spiking, so I should have stayed away. But on this next one, when support held again, I needed to buy here roughly in the mid 22s, 0.22. That's the time to buy. I mean, this is not the move I was looking for, so maybe sell a third or sell half here. Then I'm locked in profits. I can be patient throughout here because it's still holding this low and I'm in right here. That risk is not that much. I mean, this weird 23 holding price action, maybe sell another third just because you're a little scared. For roughly break even, small profit. I then sell the last third up here. That's a safe trade. That's a good trade. Yeah, like I said, I got to work on my my entries for sure. I don't mind if I would have entered here, even though I'd been wrong, but I would have wanted to take a small position to starter because we're only at 2 o'clock right now. It could do a lot of things, and I got to think about the possibility of adding if it goes lower, and it holds support, I should say, too. That was NVCN. Obviously I messed up, but I do like these plays where it goes 50% up or 60% up or whatever it is, so then it comes down and it loses most of its gains, but it holds green on the day. That's important. So I do like those plays, and I'm always watching out for them. My last play here was a good idea, but I mean, I didn't have all the indicators in my direction here. So roughly on the first, so we had this, you can call it supernova, 85 to 160, roughly 100% move. And then it was coming down here, and today, or this day, was the first green day. And so seeing this move up, 116 is the top here, comes down, spikes big, comes down, holds this 116. And this is a pattern, excuse me, that I've seen in the past, and I got interested because it's fitting the pattern, the technical analysis pattern. So I was buying up here on this bounce up 120 because I thought I could, I mean, retest would be nice, but just get up here off this support level, and in the hopes that it would spike the next day, being that it is a number, a first green day here. And I was disappointed because it couldn't crack this 20 or 120. And I didn't sell. That's the other thing. Maybe I should have lightened up here, but I didn't sell. And it got stopped to the open. I should also say I'm risking the 116 because that's where it had all the support resistance. Next morning, here, it tanked. I didn't even stop. There's no buyers at 116 to prop it up. Tanked all the way down to 114. And when I'm down here, I can see all the way to 112. And that's far beyond my risk. So seeing no buyers, seeing no strength, seeing nothing, I got out because it obviously could go lower, and I didn't see any move of it going higher because there was just a bunch of sellers. So I got out here at 114, lost about 50% more of what I was hoping for, but then I won't even count this as what I was going for because it wasn't. It was break even, and I want to plan on that in the future. If it comes down here with no buyers, I mean, down to go down more. So I don't mind that. What I mind about this trade is, even though technical analysis was perfect, basically, the setup was perfect to begin with. I didn't like after my buy, but I couldn't help that getting into the trade. What I didn't like, and what was preventable from me getting the trade before I traded it, was this volume. The volume was like 800, 900,000 shares when I was buying it, and that's nothing. That's not liquid enough. The other thing I want to point out is you can see this ramping volume when it went supernova, and if we look to this volume, there's nothing special about it. Yeah, it's up more than the last 2 days, but it's not significant. It's not significant like this. I mean, it doesn't have to get up to, it does not need to get up to 10 million, but I mean, if it can get up to 3 or 4, you can see there's a trend reversal on the volume as well. Not only on the price action, but the volume too. And that's something I didn't respect enough, and I paid the price for it in the morning. So rules I'm gonna start applying to myself a little bit more on discipline. Trading with less size. That's number one. Number two is thinking more about the time of the day and my patterns and sticking to those. And lastly, using all my indicators I know and creating a kind of guide for me on whether I should trade it or not. Obviously, my trades will be less, which is good because I'll be more picky, and hopefully I can turn these rough. I'd say I'm rough around the edges in terms of patterns and setups. I'm just lacking in my entries. And some stocks, obviously, I'm just completely undisciplined in, and I'm getting in on them anyway. So that's my hope for the coming week. Probably won't be as many trades as next week for me, but ideally they're going to be green. So thanks for staying patient. Sorry I missed last week. I just can't afford a new microphone, so I kind of work when it works on me. So thanks guys.